Well, funeral parlour owners say that they are under immense pressure and are battling to cope with the high number of burials they have to perform daily due to deaths from COVID-19. They say that bodies are piling up and at times they are forced to wait at cemeteries for graves to be dug. The pandemic has drastically transformed the death care industry, with staff also fearing contracting the virus. Let's talk about this more. And joining us via Zoom is the National Funeral Practitioners Association of South Africa President Muzi Hlengwa. Sir, thank you for joining us here on SABC News. I do hope that the feed is better this time around. Paint a picture of the struggle of funeral parlours and funeral parlour owners. And, you know, on the back of that, I think it's important really to highlight the fact that this is real, this is serious. There might be some people who are in denial about COVID-19 and the fact that there are, in fact, deaths. We've heard some people saying that these numbers are perhaps being inflated, but you're really on the ground when it comes to dealing with the deaths that are indeed occurring in South Africa. Talk to us about all of this.
Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to the viewers at home. It's very different. It's something that you have never seen before. As I talk to you right now, I'm busy trying to ensure that we have all the funeral coffin suppliers to reopen earlier than they were supposed to. One has already opened, another one promised me that they are opening tomorrow. We have run out of coffins, we have run out of space at the mortuaries. We are even requesting that those who can afford or who are able to must try and get extra mortuary facilities, you know, even if it's containers, temporal containers, whereby we can have an additional space. We have run out of space. Some funerals has to be postponed because there's no burial space. Crematoriums are working like extra hours. We normally have cremations during the day, but now we even have cremations at night. Most of non-attendant cremations will be done at night, making way for those that are attended during the day. So it's scenes that we have never seen before. We normally remove bodies at the mortuaries, you know, hospital mortuaries, but we're no longer doing that now. We are removing direct at the wards because there are no space. At some point in time, we'll find that when you come in, the body is already waiting at the passage so that you can remove that body. We appeal to people to take extra caution on this virus that is killing a number of our people. As I'm talking to you now, tomorrow we have a funeral of an undertaker who has died of COVID-19. Two died yesterday. It's scenes that we have never seen. Today, this morning, I woke up with the news that one of the employees of an undertaker, well-known in KZN, passed on due to COVID-19. We are now starting to even lose our employees from COVID-19.
And how are you preparing really to deal, and I suppose you've had to start already to deal with the second wave of the coronavirus? I mean, someone might look at it and say, oh, but funeral parlours must be happy. This means more money for them. You know, the more deaths that there are, this translates to more money for you. But that isn't necessarily the case this time around, because as you also paint a picture of personnel that work at funeral parlours themselves succumbing to COVID-19. How are you dealing? How are you coping? I mean, we've seen the measures being put in place, you know, staff being dressed fully in gear that protects them. I mean, something that, as you say, things we've never seen or experienced before. How are you preparing then for this second wave?
Look, we could have done better. The government was supposed to have kept that structure or that committee going so that we were aware. We could anticipate the bulk numbers of bodies that are coming in. You know, this caught us by surprise. Yes, we have been told there will be a second wave, but nobody anticipated what we find ourselves in right now. Actually, the industry is being strained because we're losing a lot of our current business, our recurring business, so to say, because the industry, as you know, it has changed these days. It's no longer a case of like us waiting for the dead to come to us, but it's normally your normal scheme or burial society customers that come in on a monthly basis. So now, if we are receiving a large number of claims, it means we are losing a lot of money. So we are appealing to our people to make sure that they take good care of themselves, even our employees. I've been saying this over and over. Nobody must touch the body without being on full PPE, irrespective of whether that body has been declared COVID-19 or not. Particularly with the COVID-19 bodies, we are requesting families to cooperate with us, because at some time they force us to open coffins and have them to view the bodies. They force us to take bodies to home and to the church service. They're not adhering to the COVID-19 regulations. They have more than 50 attending the funeral. So we are requesting them to make sure that they take good care of themselves, because they are our customers. If we lose them, we lose as a business, we lose as an industry. But that is not the case right now. Look, what we are losing more, besides money that we are losing, it's the lives of the people that we love. We love our customers, we love our employees. Our own lives are at stake, because as Nafupa SA, we have lost more than 10 directors due to COVID-19.
Yeah. And, you talk about the fact that, people aren't supposed to touch the bodies, whether it is the staff or personnel of funeral parlours. You must have seen many changes in terms of, African practices. I mean, what's happening now is very different to what we as, African families are used to. We tend to try to hold on to the body as much as possible. And this is all new. I heard a situation where family couldn't even view the body, one last time. I mean, these are all sorts of changes that have had to happen, that we've had to adapt to during the time of COVID. Talk to us about how families are really kind of having to struggle and cope, already being grieving as is, mourning, all of that, and then also not being able to adhere to their own African traditional practices. I mean, how has this really kind of changed the face of, if I can put it that way, of the death industry, really?
Look, we are trying our best to arrest the situation. This morning I received a call from a member of the public who was complaining and saying because they are no longer allowed to practice their rituals or observe their culture, they are now having problems. She's saying she, in a dream, a mother came back and said she's want the plastic to be removed. The body bags that she was buried with, she's suffocating in the bag. But I had to plead with her and said, look, at the end of the day, you can still go and have a ritual, as you say, buy a goat or something and do whatever necessary to remove that bag or remove your mother in that bag spiritually. But if someone amongst ourselves is infected with COVID-19, even a goat will not help. We are not going to be able to remove COVID. So we are pleading, as I've said to you, as I'm saying to you, particularly there is a church called Nazareth Baptist Church. commonly known as Ushembe. Yesterday, I was in a show where there was a funeral there, and they were forcing people to remove a COVID body so that it's being buried according to their way. Yeah. These are not the times that allows us to observe our rituals or observe our Christian beliefs or any form of a religious belief. It's the time whereby our priority is to save lives. Most of them are cooperating, but there are some people who are not cooperating with us. I've requested that our Secretary General write a letter to the church and request that when and if it's a COVID body, they cannot conduct their funeral as normal.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you for that information and really painting the picture for us of just how bad it is for funeral parlours and those involved in this particular industry. Thank you indeed for giving us your time here on SABC News, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. That's Muzi Hlengwa, who is the National Funeral Practitioners Association president, joining us there via Zoom. Well, the market